Welcome to Nostalgic Types Podcast, where we break down hip-hop albums and video games from the same year. My name is Kyle DeFrancisco, and I'm with my host, Dylan Vargas. Today is one of our Weekday Wonders episodes. We're going to be mostly focusing on the acquisition of Bethesda by Microsoft, one of the biggest gaming news I've ever heard in my life, personally. And we might get into a little bit of music talk towards the end, but we'll kind of go on the fly there. This event, I guess we'll call it an event, was like one of those like where were you moments when I heard it happen in video games. Like there's only been a couple of those for me. Mm-hmm. One was where was I when I saw the Gears of War trailer, that one with Mad World behind it. Like that was so, oh my god. A personal one for me is like where was I when I started playing World of Warcraft, that type of shit. But for like actually gaming news, I think it was probably the Xbox One being revealed, PlayStation 4 being revealed.
There hasn't been something like this ginormous since the last rollouts.
Yeah. You know what's so crazy today? I found out Phil Spencer, the head of Microsoft, or Xbox, I should say, not Microsoft. This was the first time he's ever been on CNBC, which is basically like the business network for NBC. And that includes the launching of Xbox One and the reveal of Xbox Series X. He's never been on CNBC. This was big enough news that it was like, yeah, we got to get him on.
Then he went on TV.
Yeah. And it was only like a 5-minute thing, but 5-minute thing during the day of trading.
Right.
You're getting they're literally rotating people in. It's like, oh, we'll get someone from Ford to talk to us about their earnings report. We'll get, someone talk about the trading of water and all those commodities, what's going on. Oh, and by the way, we have Phil Spencer talking about the acquisition of a $7.5 billion asset to what's coming in the next days of Xbox. So here, I'm probably going to ramble on a lot today, so I'm going to try to ask you as many questions so you get your sets in. What were you doing or how did you find out about this event?
So, as you know, I'm not on the socials, so I actually found out through Dash texting you in the group chat about it. And then the conversation that ensued from there made me go like, oh, Microsoft, their pre-orders tomorrow. That's like the only news that I knew leading up to it, just like everyone. But then when the news broke, I wasn't quick to jump right to it. So I didn't even figure out how huge this was until this morning when I was on YouTube and like checking
saw how many
regular
people.
shit.
So now, did you know who Bethesda was?
Yeah, Bethesda. You obviously made.
No, I want to make sure like you put those two and two together. That thing, tough.
But I didn't realize it was for $7 and some change,
$7.5
billion.
Yeah. To put that into context, when Disney bought Star Wars, like the IP Star Wars, they bought them for $4 billion. Granted, that was, I believe, 10, 11 years ago at this point. So money obviously changes, and just like anything, one thing sets the market. Now we have a baseline of what to go off of, but
I think it's interesting that Microsoft dishes out that type of bread because this isn't the first $7 billion purchase. Like that's what they bought Skype for, and that's also the price tag of something else big too. But like they do this, they dish out this.
Well, you're a $1 trillion company,
right?
Like there's a difference between being the size of, let's say, Microsoft and being the size of Sony. Like no disrespect to Sony. Sony's doing their thing and they're awesome, but Microsoft's a different beast when you're talking about that stuff. And the only reason why I bring up Sony is because obviously we'll talk about what it means. But like, bro, $7.5 billion, to put it this way, that's how much revenue all of PlayStation brought in last year. They brought in $8 billion. Think about taking all that revenue they brought in and saying, we aren't making any profit because guess what? We're going to dish it out to buy Bethesda. You just can't. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, the numbers don't work out like that. And when you are a $1 trillion company because you own Windows, you own Skype, you own all of these things, it's like, yeah. I think I saw last time in 2019 it was reported that they had like $130 billion in reserves. Just cash on hand.
Just to be spending out those seven.
Whatever.
7 here, 7 there.
7.5 is a very, honestly, a low-balled number, I would think, to be honest. Because it's not that they just bought Bethesda. They bought ZeniMax.
Right.
And Bethesda happens to be one of the or the child company, as I guess you call it, because ZeniMax is the parent company, and there's a bunch of other smaller developers under it. But obviously, you're buying that for Bethesda.
Right. That's why the price tag is so high.
Yeah. But go ahead, keep going. And you were talking about you were surprised.
Basically, when I found out this morning and how impactful it was, I was taken back. Like, oh shit, they're changing the game. Because at first news, I thought, oh wow, this is crazy for Microsoft. They're sticking the big middle finger to Sony. Like, we're taking all these games, exclusivity, all of it up, and you guys aren't playing shit. Gotta buy an Xbox.
That was your first thought.
First thought, off rip. Like, oh, that was a power move.
Yeah.
But then once, in a video that I was watching that broke down, was it Phil Spencer? Someone high up's letter was saying basically that they want these games to be for everyone.
Yes, so there was a letter that they brought out like 6 months ago that it's been like their whole like encompassing thing that gaming should be for everyone. Everyone should have access to games. Like, this should be a whole consumer friendly thing. And then Phil Spencer yesterday and a couple people over, Tim Howard from Bethesda also said like this is going to be gaming for everyone because he was the head of Bethesda at the time. And still is. He's still going to be operating manager over there. He's just no longer like the hot top man. He still has to now communicate with Microsoft and everything. But it has been a commitment to gaming for everybody. Now, I can see both sides of the argument, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, that's been the overriding case right now, that they believe that's still been gaming for everybody.
So it's not like a power move to make people switch consoles.
Well, that's going to be our biggest conversation we probably have here right now. So, that's one of the things. There's a bunch of reasons they could have done it. We'll obviously see what their real goals are as they start moving the catalog over. This deal's not going to really be finalized, quote unquote, until the first quarter of next year. So yes, they have a deal in place, but when you're talking about $7.5 billion, it doesn't just happen overnight. Like, you have to, they're going to have to check all their books. They're going to have to do all this stuff. They're going to have to make sure everything comes over. They're going to have to make sure who's keeping their job over, who's not. They're going to have to make sure the projects are transferred over. So it's going to be a big thing. But keep going. So you watch a couple other videos and...
Oh, so then, you know how YouTube takes you down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
And I'd say the first few videos that I watched, the first ones recommended me, and the algorithm was like news-based, like, oh, this is good news, that kind of stuff. And then I got into the Sony YouTuber world.
Okay.
And the PlayStation heads.
Which is important.
Which is definitely important. And just like everything in life, like, you should hear both sides of every argument.
100%.
And it was super, I guess intriguing is the word that I want to say, looking into it, because I thought, just from watching the set of videos and the research that I did, that this was all, like, this is good for gaming.
Okay.
But it seems like the other side of the coin thinks that it's still a fight to be had, rather than, like, this road to unity within gaming.
See, I think you hit it right on the nail on the head. Personally, for me, this might sound a little bit rude. I think the Sony fan base is playing a 2010 game with console wars. And they believe that if I have the best games on my console, we win. That's all that matters. I have the best games. I have God of War.
Right.
It's a win. Microsoft sees where gaming's going and how it's going to be accessible in 15 years. I think 15, my dad, we're talking, he thinks more 10, like 2030, where there might not be consoles anymore. It's very realistic. Xbox has xCloud coming out. You get to play all of the Game Pass catalog on your Android phone.
Like, if this isn't the last gens, the next one is type of shit.
Yeah, maybe. So that's why I'm saying more 15, because I think there is one more generation, and I think they're 7-year cycles, so just kind of round it up to 15. What happens then? Like, what happens when all you can really gain from having exclusivity is no longer the selling of your console? It's just, oh, you own that game. Awesome. Now, that's important to own those games. But an exclusivity deal with those games is much different than ownership of those games. There's two different things. You can have exclusivity with a company like Konami, like PlayStation has. But to own those, it's the same thing we're talking about with licensing and podcasting.
Right.
To own that shit, guess what? Microsoft now takes that 30% cut. Phil Spencer didn't really say what it is, but we have to assume it's 30% because
they take that off the top of everything.
If it's bought on PlayStation,
Right.
guess what? We got 30% now. So now what happens when your gaming console is now your TV? No longer a console, it's your TV because your TV is getting internet and you can stream. Well, now we're purchasing Bethesda games. Sony gets no cut of that. Why would they? There's no...
Right.
We own that, but Xbox owns that. Xbox owns Game Pass. Sony don't got no Game Pass. Sony has PlayStation Now, but it's not the same. There's no concurrent games on there. There is value in there, but it's not as apples and oranges. Right. So when you're talking about maybe in 15 years when you can no longer get that revenue by just locking you in, Sony or nothing, or Xbox or nothing, same thing. Now when the market is open, what do? Sony's going to be grabbing tooth and nail. What can I grab? What games can I put on this platform to gain revenue? Xbox is taking more of a publisher stance on this stuff where we're just going to own shit, we're going to give it to you, and we're going to try to get you to our platform as easy as possible. Sony's more taking the fact in, we have exclusivity to all these consoles, you're going to want to buy our console.
We have the best games.
We have the best games.
Right.
Not necessarily we own these games, but we just have agreements and all that to bring these games over. They do obviously have their own. They have the Sony Santa Monica, which makes a lot of games. They bring like the God of Wars. So they make the money on their God of Wars and all that. But like all these deals they have with Call of Duty, launching a month beforehand on PlayStation, the new Godfall game coming, stuff like that. What happens in 10 years? 15.
Right.
Microsoft is buying Double Fine. They're buying Obsidian Games. They're buying all this stuff. That carries on in 10 years. That you don't have to buy another $7.5 billion of Bethesda in 10 years, 15 years. You own that shit now.
Right.
You own the next however many Elder Scrolls. Because let's be honest, the last Elder Scrolls installment was Skyrim, realistically. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online, but it was Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that that's going to be the most highly anticipated game whatever year it comes out? Elder Scrolls 6? And guess what they get?
And it's about to hit Game Pass first day.
That's the biggest thing.
That was a crazy rollout.
So, here, we'll get to that one too. So let's keep... So you were going down the Sony
so I'll
hole.
keep it from the Sony hill. So like, the arguments that I was hearing from their side was that, well, you know them. They think that PlayStation won this war, and it's
this
arguable.
generation. It's not.
debatable.
It's hard to argue. They had the better games and they sold more copies. Yeah.
So they're saying that this is them paying out to catch up.
Sure. Okay.
Where, like, off the rip, my first thing was like, I saw them almost as going into this next fight. If PlayStation had the leg up, it wasn't by much.
Okay.
So if anything, this $7.5 billion takes them. They got the leg up now, right?
A little bit up.
Going
Okay.
into the.
And that's your
starting out the
opinion, you're
first-
saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was interesting to hear the Sony heads like, "Oh, this $7 billion just put them even for launch."
Right.
Where I was like,
I agree with that. I've had like a personal conversation I've had with Sony heads. Like they think the same. They think that they
Like,
think
oh,
it's
now
even.
it's even, right.
Yeah. They're just like, oh, Microsoft can just shell out 7.5 and now they're even.
right.
Like that's what it took.
Yeah.
Understandable. Where I think it really breaks down is, so here, let's just get into the shits of, do we think it's going to be exclusivity or not? I don't think, business-wise, I don't think it makes much sense to make any of these games exclusive. Like, and when I say any of these games, I'm talking about the big four on Bethesda's side. I don't think you can make Elder Scrolls exclusive. I don't think you can make Fallout exclusive. I don't think you can make Doom exclusive. I don't think you make the new game Starlight coming out exclusive. I don't think it makes much sense. Because let's be honest.
Because then they're just digging at their own pockets.
Correct. Because PlayStation is still going to have a massive amount of install base coming this. Like, PlayStation just sold out with their pre-orders. a shitload of people are going to have PlayStation. So you're going to be cutting off your nose to spite your face by bringing it to just exclusivity to Xbox. Like, yeah, you might get some more people to purchase Xboxes and get them to play on your thing, and maybe they'll purchase on PC now. But, you know, we've always had this conversation. Xbox doesn't care if you purchase their console. They lose money on every console. They'd rather you purchase a PC and own their Game Pass. Or own a PC and buy Halo. Because then that's just straight profit.
Yeah, right.
There's no digging in they have to do. You know, with Xbox, they have to make sure you sign up for Game Pass to get that profit. They have to make sure you buy a controller. They have to make sure you get Xbox Live to make any money. It's kind of the same thing I do at Staples. You know, I can't sell a Zero on a computer because guess what? We lose money as a store. I have to add in a Microsoft Office. I have to add in a printer. I have to add in, the goals of the store. It's the same process. But think about this. If I could just sell nothing but protection plans and Microsoft Offices and all the antiviruses, that's all profit. There's no overhead with any of that stuff as the company. So for me, I really think that
was a good analogy.
Hey, you saw that? You saw that?
To the...
I see them saying, okay, cool. We're gonna put them all on PlayStation. Every last thing. Maybe some of the smaller titles that they have, they might bring as an Xbox exclusive. But the big four, I'll call them, are gonna be on PlayStation. Because guess what? We're gonna get 30% of $70 every time someone purchases.
Every time you buy it on Sony.
So let's just make it easy numbers. New Elder Scrolls sells 10 million in a year. Copies. Times that by 70, that's 700 million. 30% of that, looking at 250 million.
And that's just them buying
That's just bang.
Right.
You're cutting off 250 million. Think about how many more consoles plus Game Pass you'd have to sell to make up that 250 million. Doesn't make any sense.
Which is why it's like, why would Sony heads even think that they would start making things exclusive?
Because that's how Sony plays the game.
Right.
Sony, if they purchased Bethesda,
they would
only say, guess what? Sony always operates as they're the king.
If Elder Scrolls 6 would have came out just PlayStation,
it would have done a disservice to the gaming community for sure.
Definitely.
No, you're talking about no PC. Now, here's what's funny. Sony's games are now coming out on PC. Horizon Zero Dawn's coming out on PC. Because you know what? These games cost a lot of money to make.
Right.
You need that extra 2 million copies that PC players are going to get. 30% again, 120 million. 30% of that, I need that extra 50 million to make the next one.
Mm-hmm. Sony's
kind of fallen in that trap of like, oh, we need these games on multiple platforms. It's not just as simple as sell it on PlayStation 5 only. You're going to see a lot more PlayStation exclusives come to PC. Now, I don't know if they'll make that transfer over to Xbox, but you're going to start seeing that. I think where Xbox really wins is, one, it's going to cost $70 for PlayStation heads to buy it. Sure. All these games come to Game Pass. You said it. All these games are coming to Game Pass. Like, is there a more bang for your buck in any form of entertainment
than the Game Pass?
Like,
because you'd have to get that 74 times.
That's what I'm saying. Think about that. Let's say you want to play Halo, $60 right there. Forza, $60 right there. That's just the two big ones on Microsoft coming out every once in a while. Now you add in EA bringing in their all access with Game Pass. So let's say you want to play Battlefield and Madden, another 60. Bang, you're at 240 already. 240, that's 2 years of Game Pass right there. Not even including the new Elder Scrolls coming out in 2 years or Doom coming out in the next 4 years. It's just the values they're providing is ridiculous. So dope.
And the Game Pass Ultimate, where you pay for Live and the Game Pass,
it's
that's
just
literally the best deal.
PC Game Pass. Think about that. If you're a PC owner,
now you get it all for $15.
I can get $15 a month. I get the new Elder Scrolls. I get the new Halo. I get the new Gears. I get the new Fable coming out in 3 years. I get the new, all of this for $15 a month. It's like I'm paying for another Apple Music. And I love music, But realistically, a video game gives you much more value than an album. Talking about hours-wise and delving in. It's just... That's the win. That's the win is when a person has the choice, which is what Xbox is talking about. There's a choice. There's give gamers the choice. Am I going to buy the console or be part of the ecosystem where I have to spend $70 on Elder Scrolls, Doom, Starlight, and Fallout? Or am I going to be part of the ecosystem that I get all that with the price of my Xbox Live? For an extra $5 a month, my Xbox Live. Or whatever it is.
Which you were going to pay for anyway.
Which you were going to pay for anyway.
Right.
Let's be more realistic. It's technically $5 a month for Xbox Live because you can get the $60 once a year. For an extra $10 a month, your Game Pass.
All the games.
All of them.
Instead of paying $70 for one game.
Game that just
That's just insane. That's like dumbfounding.
And think about this too. Another game that just came to it, which is where I thought if you were going to give me $100 million to have to bet, I would have bet they were going to buy Bungie, Xbox. Because to take you back a little bit, I think we talked about it before, Warner Brothers Entertainment, or Studios, I should say, the guys that make the Batman series, the Lego series, all that, were up for sale, apparently. And the thoughts were that was going to cost around $4 billion. And Xbox was going to be the one to purchase it. And that was going to be their big purchase. That's what's going to set us up. They're going to have Mortal Kombat. They're going to have all these games. Whole and behold, that kind of falls through. And rumors then come out that they're going to look to acquire another studio for that $4 billion they already spent in their heads.
Right.
And I thought it was going to be Bungie because they just struck up a deal with Bungie that brings Destiny to Game Pass and all of their expansions. So if you want to play Destiny, one of the biggest games and services in the world, all you have to do is own Game Pass. Like today, I'm going to play with Andy tonight because the new expansions just came out on Game Pass, which he purchased from prior, but I didn't, so I couldn't play with him at max game. But now I don't have to because
you already
own
have
Game Pass.
Right.
All I had to do was just hit download today.
Oh, dude, it's so sick.
It's whatever. I'm gonna freaking ejaculate talking about fucking Game Pass. But you look at that value just right there today. The surprise of Destiny came out today on Game Pass. I get to play it. Reverting back to, I thought it was gonna be Bungie. I thought if you would have told me, Xbox acquired someone today, I was like, Bungie for $2 billion. Because realistically, that's probably all it would have cost, was about $2 billion. Because you're only really buying one game, all their studios. And what would have been cool is you could have maybe transitioned them back over to maybe work on Halo again a little bit. Help 343 Studios with Halo. Because all 343 Studios works on is Halo, realistically. So you can do a joint venture there, too. So I thought that was perfect synergy. Bungie's always been a Halo Xbox studio. You know what I mean? Ever since 2001, really.
So did anyone think that Bethesda would be?
This was not rumored at all, bro. Not a single rumor mill.
That's
no
so
one.
Insane.
Everyone that's in the business, Jason Schreier, Jeff Grubb, all those guys are the journalists breaking the news. We're all yeah, we had no idea until we got the newsletter today.
How insane is that?
The biggest acquisition since maybe Blizzard for Activision, when Activision acquired Blizzard, and that was 12 years ago at this point, 11 years ago at this point. I mean, there hasn't been a bigger acquisition. Yesterday might have been one of the biggest events in video game history, them acquiring that big of a studio.
And the fact that happened right before rollout.
It's perfect.
Right before the pre-orders.
Now, what I'm starting to get in my conspiratorial bag is I think they use the Warner Brothers Studios as a little bit of a shadow.
Right.
We
got that.
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah, we're $4 million.
We're in the market.
Yeah, we're in the market. It fell through. Whoops.
Yeah. We're still in the market.
And they never said anything about Bungie. That was just all speculation. I wasn't the only one that thought of that idea. There was a bunch of people that said, maybe Bungie's now in play. Because you wouldn't think that they're going to spend $4 billion on them and then $2 billion on another.
You also wouldn't think they'd almost double it and be willing to spend damn near
7.5. 7.5 is not even for Microsoft. That's not a small amount of money. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of chicken.
But you obviously look at the market they get, and they're going to make that money back. And that's what I'm coming to more. That's my reasoning for more thinking that's not going to be exclusive. They got to make their money back on it. And they're not going to make their money back by purely Game Pass sales, because that's a lot of Game Passes. That's 700 million 700 million months of Game Pass out there that would need to make that up. So you're really not going to get that.
Right.
Game Pass right now has 15 million subscribers. I project that to probably get to 25, maybe like 22 around this time next year, especially if there's an announcement that Elder Scrolls is coming next year, fourth quarter. Now, we don't know yet, but that would definitely drive. You would get legitimately probably 5 or 6 million people to subscribe to Game Pass just for that, between PC users and Xbox users for just Elder Scrolls.
And I think that this purchase, they're not so... Microsoft's game plan isn't to blow out the waters of sales, like first week copies, that kind of shit. It's more so like the long game. That's what they're playing here.
I think I told you this a couple months ago. I don't think you can determine who wins this generation by, all right, let's look at how many PlayStations are sold and how many Xboxes are sold. What's going to happen is they're going to push that number of 15 million subscribers to you all the time. Up to 17.5 million subscribers to Game Pass. Hit the 20 million mark. Guess what? For a celebration for 20 million mark, we're bringing a new game. We're bringing Red Dead Redemption 2. We're bringing Grand Theft Auto back to Game Pass for the 20 million people. They're going to have these events set up because they know this is like a cash cow.
Word.
20 million people, $10 a month. $200 million right there. A month. Just
off the pass.
Coming in.
Off the pass.
Yep.
Plus the 60 to play. A year. Bang. Realistically, 15 million a month. Because let's say they change it from you no longer have to pay outright. We're just going to our ultimate package, which is everything. Game Pass 10, a month, around about 5 for Xbox Live. Screw it. Just make it a monthly fee of 15. 15 for 20 million. 300 million right there. Bang. What are we doing? So you have to take those into account when you're talking about this generation too. Okay, let's say this too. PC gaming is much more accessible. You'll be part of that by this time next year. PC gaming really in that. Where does Microsoft get a say in that? What if Microsoft sales between PlayStation and Xbox of games that go to PC is 70-30? Right.
That has to take into account just as much as console sales. Xbox microtransactions through Game Pass. How do you quantify that? There's a lot of things to do with xCloud. Where does that play into effect?
Right. And when does that enter?
It has to. It's already entered the Android market. You can get xCloud right now and play all the Game Pass games on xCloud. It's just like they're trying to bring it to iPhones, but they're having the same fucking troubles that Epic is having right now.
Splits.
So it's like, it's not just splits too. It's something like how the programming works for apps. You're not getting clearance for them, and it's a whole wishy-washy thing that Phil Spencer tried to explain in the most politically correct way on CNBC, but he basically didn't want to say Apple's fumbling this right now. We're trying to figure out how to do it.
We're waiting on Apple.
He was trying to keep the relationship as good as possible by also saying yo, get your shit together. We're trying to bring it over there. Some of the thought processes too is, what if Game Pass gets so big that next generation, not this generation, come up next generation, what if Game Pass is on PlayStation?
Right.
It's that big of it's Spotify on an Apple phone.
I wouldn't even see it going as far as to next generation.
5 years.
You could see them following suit within this console.
Spotify on an Apple phone. Apple loses more money by not having Spotify on their device than just exclusively Apple Music.
Do PlayStation Bulls pay for online?
Yes. Yep, same price. $60 a year, basically.
So they can do the same shit. 15, you get everything.
Yeah, but what is it?
Right.
That's what it's taken a while. It's taken acquiring 22 different studios. It's taken the smash in the mouth for 6 years of you have no games.
Right.
It's taken 4 years to Game Pass get to where it is today, of just Game Pass coming out. Game Pass came out, I think, early 2017. So it's been 3.25 years.
Which is what makes me feel like this last console, the fight wasn't that skewed. It wasn't like PlayStation. Yeah, they sold more copies, but if we're talking about rounds in a boxing match, I feel like Xbox closed out the fight pretty hard.
Yeah, but the problem is the first 9 rounds were Sony.
Kicking ass.
Yeah, kicking ass. But those last 3 rounds was pretty even, or if not, a couple more there, you know? At the end of the day, for me, I don't think you can just say, I have God of War, I have Horizon Zero Dawn, we win. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it just... I think the conversation has to lead to more who brings the best value, not who has the best shit. Because at that point, the best car manufacturer in the world then is Bugatti, or whoever makes the Bugatti. It's the best car. They're the most profitable. They have to be. They have the best car. No, it's Ford, Kia, Chevy. Like, they bring the best value. You know, for $25,000, what are you getting?
Right.
You're getting a great car that's fuel efficient and doesn't, you know, when you crash, it's a pretty safe car. Or you can buy a, you know, $600,000 and you're getting this. You know, it's all relative, and I think that's where Microsoft is playing this game. They're not playing the console game anymore. They're playing the ecosystem. They're playing the we are now the biggest publisher in the world, not named Activision. You know, put it this way into comparison. There is 6 events on E3 days. Like when E3 has it, they have 6 big conferences. They have the Xbox conference, they have the PlayStation conference, or they used to. PlayStation no longer comes to E3 because they play by their own rules.
Beef.
Whatever. Nintendo conference. EA conference. There's another conference I'm going to be forgetting. But then there's Bethesda. Microsoft purchased one of the conferences at E3. One of the big 6 conferences at E3.
Which is fried.
Like, what, dog?
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft's the 6th one.
Right.
Activision doesn't have their own conference. They usually just throw in their shit on the PlayStation shit. But you think of that. There's 6. Now there's 5 because one of them bought another
one.
Like, what, dog? Like, there's literally enough content within Bethesda to have their own conference every year. Hour-long conference. Just like PlayStation does. Just like Nintendo does. Just like Xbox does.
And now Microsoft owns 2 pieces of the pie.
Yep.
How do you feel about this whole like messy pre-order rollouts?
You know, I think
because both consoles were pretty
super messy. For them to both be messy, it has to do with how they're rolling them out.
Right.
Because this last generation, Xbox One, you couldn't pre-order them online. You still had to go to a retailer. So I think it's just a sign of the times of retail is not as big as it was 8 years ago, 6, 7 years ago at this time. You have to go and order online. And when that happens, you have the chance of bots appearing and swiping them up. Yeah. Right. I like the idea that Sony had where you get preferred pre-orders depending on how long you've been with Sony, because they can check on how long you've been an active member of their but they didn't roll that out. They said it, but it really wasn't executed well.
Okay, right.
Like, it was supposed to, like, that pre-order happened 4 days after, where a bunch of people already pre-ordered their stuff at other places, and then, like, the system didn't really work well, and then there's people that, like, hey, I've been with Sony for 12 years, why am I not a preferred member?
Right.
Like, what do you have to be? Like, I got PlayStation 3 day one, and that's when you started taking those stats down. Like, what the fuck can I do? Shit like that. So
yeah, it's weird how both of them ran into troubles, and with like major retailers too, like Walmart, Best Buy,
Target, like, Amazon, all of them.
People were saying like they would have it in their cart the second like it was uploaded, and then it'd be like sold out, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Best Buy, some of it didn't even show up.
So I think it's just messy. I think you're better off, honestly, not even doing pre-orders. Just, you have to know what your stock's going to be when launch day is. And there's no way that if you have 4 million in stock on launch, that 4 million sold out in a second. Like,
right.
It just doesn't happen. So obviously they sectioned off their pre-orders. I would like to hope that these companies. I hope these companies aren't artificially creating a like a drought in their inventory. Like that there really is going to be 2 million, but we're going to artificially increase the hype around it. Like, oh, I got my pre-order.
Like, we sold out in 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, bro.
Right.
Like, you still have...
That's what I thought at first, but then I did think about the fact that, like, someone could easily go on there, just like Jordans, and buy 15 pairs of the new Jordans.
in a half a second. So, you know,
Right.
they have to figure out a way around that. That's just the new... Because guess what? We're never going to go back to the old way.
Right. There's
Yeah.
always going to be someone buying and reselling.
Correct. So you have to find a way to counteract that. But it's hard. It's, you know, to your point, Jordans still haven't figured out a way to do it. So hopefully these Microsoft and Sony can figure out a way. But realistically, I think come this time, you know, a couple months, let's say April next year, you're going to start seeing them in stores. You're going to be able to start copping them just like regular old Xboxes. Like it always happens.
Yeah.
It's always that first 2-3 months where you're like, oh my God, I can't
There's
find
a
an
drought,
Xbox.
right.
And then it becomes not the thing to get.
What was the console that you said you guys bought in Florida?
Wii.
The Wii.
The Wii's the craziest
Wii.
one I've ever seen, to be honest.
Because that was sold out everywhere.
because everyone wanted it. It
Right.
wasn't just Timmy, that's 23, that wanted her. You know,
everywhere.
it was grandmas that were 50 wanted to play the Wii. So that, yeah,
And
pre-orders
that
are rough.
even took till April.
Oh my
May
God,
to
yeah.
Get back
I
to
mean, you
work.
were fucking, yeah. It was about, I think that one lasted like 6 or 7 months of it being like fucked. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe to me that they would like lowball stock.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's hard times too. It's a pandemic too. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows what the hell's going on with
It's
production?
all
and,
up in the air.
yeah, so, you know, but again, I think you'll see in this generation, you'll see people treating it more like PCs, where my shit runs on my Xbox One. Like, I don't need to upgrade right now. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be nice to upgrade, but maybe I don't need to. The games that are coming out are gonna be on my Xbox One or Xbox Series X. It doesn't matter to me. Like, when I can get one, I'll get one. Same thing with the PC. Like, yeah, I could upgrade to the new NVIDIA 3080, but I don't need to, because guess what? My game's gonna still play on it.
Right.
I think consoles could stay in business or be a legitimate source for these companies if they treat it more like that. If it wasn't a
One time
restart,
right. A
it was
resign.
more of
Right.
a progression.
Right.
You know, yeah, you can play your, you know, obviously the 360, let's just use it in our terms, 360 is going to become irrelevant at some point, where the games we're making, we just can't make it available for Xbox 360. Like, they're just getting too advanced that your 8-year-old system just can't run it. Same thing with PCs. Like, if I don't upgrade my PC in 8 years, it's not going to run the new Call of Duty in 8 years. It's just not going to happen. My graphics card won't be powerful enough. My processor won't be powerful enough. That's all these consoles are doing. They're upgrading the processor, the graphics card, the memory, and the storage.
But when you do upgrade with the PC, you're not starting over
I can upgrade
progression
one at a time.
Right.
And I can play all the old games I was playing all over again. I can play my Warcraft 3 I bought 25 years
Right.
ago. I can play the new Elder Scrolls I buy in 4 years. Like, I think that's where they got to get to, because it's just not consumer friendly enough to expect people every 6 years to shell
throw out the old and go
get
buy
new
the new. Right.
for $500, and it's a reset. With PlayStation, not every game's backwards compatible. It's like a select library of the PlayStation 4 games, nothing PlayStation 3, nothing PlayStation 2, nothing PlayStation 1. So all those games you have, good luck playing them. You know what I mean? Like, now, most people say, like, does that really matter? Well, it'd be nice for the guys that's a gamer that has that PlayStation 2 game that he wants to play, you know, on that Christmas morning when he's just chilling, that, I want
Right.
to play it. You know, maybe it really doesn't do much for you, but it gives you the choice. You know, Xbox, every single game in their library is backwards compatible, besides some Xbox original games. So, like 2001 to 2004, yeah, there's some shit you really can't play. But all Xbox 360 games are backwards
And
compatible.
all the one.
Xbox One games are backwards compatible. And even this, you can play the new Halos on Xbox One. You know, the new Halo is going to come on Xbox One as well. And free upgrade to Xbox Series X. Like, that's how it should be. It just makes no sense why it's not. They've gotten away with it for so long. You know, now it needs to just be like, yeah, no, bro. You need to kind of like, come on.
Are you saying they, as in like the consoles?
Yeah, the console.
Like, yeah,
And
that.
I'm throwing Xbox in that too. They kind of have to operate like that. I mean, you are the PC. Like,
I think that this overall move of buying Bethesda and Kind of stating that their initiative is to make everything one big gaming community
Mm-hmm.
does kind of show that, which is a little scary. Because then you look down the road 20 years, like if Microsoft just owns it all.
It could be bad. Yeah.
But like, if that's inevitable.
But here's the thing, though. There's always going to be publishers. At that point, in 20 years, when there's no consoles, it's just going to be everyone's going to be a publisher.
Right.
And that's where we're kind of getting into. Microsoft's putting themselves in position to be number 2, if not 1, biggest publisher when all this dust settles in 10 years. That long game. We're going to be super consumer friendly. People are going to recognize us as the consumer friendly publisher. They're going to recognize us for all our great games. We're going to bring this super good value of Game Pass for our publishing. Now all these other publishers have their quote unquote Game Pass. EA All Access, Ubisoft Play. Activision doesn't yet because they operate the same way Sony does. We're kings. We don't have to do that. Until you're number 2, watch how fast they bring out a Game Pass once they're number 2.
Right.
It's going to be so quick. So quick. Watch how quickly Sony tries to get all their shit on xCloud once they realize, oh, xCloud's legit? Yeah, we need to get on that.
Right.
No, bro. Y'all are good. Stay on your PlayStation 5 where you gotta plug it in.
Yeah.
Stay on your PlayStation 6. We'll be cool over here with the PC, all the phones, and our xCloud. It's
all
cool.
integrated together.
Yeah. And guess what? The next thing that really needs to do is cross-progression. I need to be able to pick up my game on my PC and pick it up and play it on my Xbox and nothing changed.
Yeah, and be the same Overwatch player.
Same Overwatch. That's going to come with the recognition. I think that's going to be standard practice, kind of like cross platform is going to be standard practice here eventually. Sony's not going to be able to get away with it for much longer of this whole, we don't want everything to be cross-platform.
Right.
Nah, we don't want
we got
Elder
our
Scrolls.
stuff.
Yeah, like, if you want to play with your guys, you got to buy your shit. No,
Yeah.
We've seen that shit like Rocket League. All you do is just flip the switch and it's on. Fortnite, flip the switch, it's on.
Right.
Call of Duty, flip the switch. Like, it's just, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. Because guess what? It's now so prevalent that anything that doesn't have it, you're looking at it with a stank eye. Like,
Right. Like,
what do you mean Battlefield doesn't have crossplay? Why? Like, now we're asking why it doesn't. Used to be like, oh, I hope it has crossplay. Oh, it doesn't? Okay. That sucks. But now, Spellbreak has crossplay. Like, if a game like Spellbreak, that small of a studio, can figure out how to do crossplay, anyone can. Like,
oh, the future of gaming is so crazy. We're looking at a crazy turn of the times.
And I think
we're staring right in the face of it.
Yeah, that's what's crazy about it, is that it's not like future, it's like 2 years. It's like, what's going to happen in 2 years? It's
like yesterday was a huge moment in history.
It was one of those ones you're going to look back on and you think, all those events you've gone through in your life and you're like, wow, that's such a big event looking at hindsight. But then on that day you were just like, damn, that's, it's, Michael Jackson died. But some people would be like, yo, what were you doing that day?
Right.
For me, I know it's super nerdy to think about, but I'm that big of a gamer that it's going to be like, where were you? Like, when you heard it. And unfortunately, I'm going to be like, yeah, I was at Staples, I saw, We're
going to look back like, that's when Microsoft took it all over.
Yeah. But I think Microsoft's just playing a different game, man. And that's okay.
Yeah,
Everyone
this
can play
console
their own
war
game.
shit is over.
And guess what? Nintendo's just in their little corner, just, hey guys, I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to sell consoles to the day I die because Nintendo just got the 20-year head start on everyone, so it's kind of like unfair.
Right.
But they can still. Now, I remember there was back in the day, like a year and a half ago, there was talks about they're going to try to bring Xbox Live over to Switch. And I think if they can figure out a way with xCloud to bring over Game Pass to Switch, I think that would be huge in the next year and a half, 2 years. Now,
when is Switch looking to
upgrade?
Yeah.
I don't know, because it came out, 2016? It came out a couple years after the
Nintendo always hits off-season for the consoles.
I mean, the Switch came out on a Sunday, I think, or some shit.
Right.
It was like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
I like how they move on their own terms.
Because it's just on their own. Like, you can see, exactly. You can see just by their moves, not not what they're saying, or just how they move is what people think they're doing. Realistically, if they were all playing the same game, Nintendo should bring out a new console in November. You know what I mean? Like, they should be fine for this. But no, Nintendo's like, all right, we have our Switch. We're gonna bring out new Mario. We're gonna bring out new Zelda. Whenever. We'll bring out Animal Crossing that sells out
so
10 million copies. Like, whatever's.
Drop it on a Tuesday.
Drop it on a Tuesday. Hopefully it sells out by Friday.
Right.
You know, so that's the game that Nintendo's playing. You know, we don't even know the game Nintendo's playing. They're so out on their own little world. They're just going to keep bringing out the next
But you got to
Switch.
think that they can't, like, they're not going to be against the turn of the times.
No, I think that there's so much nostalgia built up with Nintendo that Nintendo can release consoles for the next 20 years.
They'll be chilling.
And the thing is, though, too, they are more innovative with their consoles than PlayStation and Xbox. You know,
You can take that bitch anywhere.
you take that bitch anywhere. You know, Wii, motion controllers, Wii U, they had the essence of the Switch, but not there yet.
Yeah.
Switch now, take that bitch anywhere. It's a Game Boy and a console in one.
Which is so crazy that Sony had the idea
Of what?
of the...
With the PSP?
Yeah,
Yep.
take it on the go.
Yep, they just couldn't execute it. They were ahead of their time. I will say that. Sony was definitely ahead of their time. You know, and the PS Go, or whatever it's called, the PlayStation Vita, I should say, that should have been it. The PlayStation, not the PSP, the PSP Vita should have been what was that. And it just didn't hit for
And
some
then the
reason.
Switch fucking...
Yeah, now the Switch. Because they figured out a way that is, honestly, I think that's what they did. I think Nintendo probably saw what PlayStation did and said, that's the right idea.
Right.
They're just doing something wrong. What is it? And the disconnect is I need to purchase a new piece of hardware to do it. We're just going to make the hardware the piece. Like,
it's so cool how they differentiate from Xbox and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think that the war is between Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony.
it's
but
not, man. It's
not.
not. And I'm thinking, I don't think Xbox thinks there's a war anymore.
Nah.
I think Xbox is playing their own game, man. I hate to keep bringing it up. It's the difference between Charlemagne and Joe. They think they're playing the same war, but we're not.
Right.
I'm focusing on changing this gaming culture we have going on. I don't want generations anymore. I want iterations. I want consumer friendliness. I want attainable for all. And when that happens, we can both win. The consumers can win, and I can make a shitload of money.
Mm-hmm.
Sony says we're going to keep playing by the same rules we've been playing since 2000 or 1997. We're going to bring out the best games. People are going to buy our consoles, and we're just going to keep making money that way because we sell out 60% of the market of consoles. That's cool. But what happens when consoles are no longer a thing?
Right.
Where does that install base come for you? Because the install base is going to
they
be
don't have
there.
an answer right now. Where
Where's your
Microsoft
hardware?
has theirs.
Where's
right.
your hardware?
Right.
No longer hardware things. Where's your software? Our software is xCloud.
Right.
We're everywhere. What if it's so fucked that xCloud is where streaming games happens, and now every single
That's what
thing
I'm saying,
PlayStation sells, bang.
It could get
it's
scary.
no longer just our Bethesda games we're taking the 30% of. Oh, now you're over on our platform? Yeah, 30% of everything. Fess it up.
Because if you think about it, like, wouldn't Sony have to react and make their own
Acquisition?
P Cloud?
Oh, you're saying that? You know what? I think that'd be the biggest mistake they could do, realistically. I don't know if they have the infrastructure to do that. Think about it. We're talking about Microsoft. We're not talking about Xbox. We're talking about Microsoft doing this. That's why I thought Google had a chance, because we were talking about Alphabet. You know, Google is still a $750 billion company with all this integration. They're trying to make their own internet, for God's sakes. Like, I think they could figure out how to make servers for this. You know, Sony is such a smaller company, just in size. Like, it's just, I don't think it's really realistic to think that they can make something like this, or be the leader of it, I should say. Maybe they could come in on the back end and do it, but at that point it might be so established you're trying to compete with Comcast and cable. Like, it's like, do you really do it? Like, am I going to be able to diversify myself enough to do that? You know, it's bringing out a new thing to go against Steam. It's like, bro, you got to be careful. Better be careful, man, because maybe people don't want to do that. Maybe people are so attached to Steam now
that no one's
going to even come over to your shit. You know, you got to have to give in and put your shit on Steam.
Dog, we're looking at the face.
It's so nuts.
It's about to get wild.
You know, and I think, and you know what? You know what's gonna be awesome? We're gonna see which one wins
Word.
because they're going in two separate directions.
Yeah.
It's obvious. It's tradition,
Where this entire time they've been on the same path.
correct, and Xbox realized
Which is what?
why still run that
Right.
same race.
Right.
We're gonna lose that race, and I think that's smart on Xbox to realize we will lose that race. PlayStation kills us in that race. Just a traditional sell console, sell game, sell console, sell game.
They're
What
winning.
can we do to make this more even or take over?
They have the same conversation we have. Like, let's think about what happens when everyone's consoles go out the window. Then who's winning the race?
They just happened to think of that conversation 5 years ago. And they have that technology and those resources to make that a reality. We can make consoles go bye-bye next year. I mean, I think another smart play they should do is bring out their own Google Nest and make that a test dummy. Microsoft Home, whatever you want to call it. Make that the test dummy. Make a Google Chromecast, an Xbox Chrome, a Microsoft Chromecast. Oh, now that's your Xbox in 10 years. Now all we're doing is pulling the internet from that.
Right.
You know, my dad made a good point. He's like, gigabyte service wasn't available 10 years ago. You know, like for internet. You know, it just wasn't. So in 10 years, maybe 3 gigabyte service will be available.
Right.
And hopefully where people don't have good internet right now, gigabyte service becomes more available to them now. And when that happens, everyone's going to be able to stream video games like that. You know, it's still places in this country that don't have great internet because either it's too expensive to get to where they're at or it's just not, you know, geographically feasible right now. But eventually, you know, we'll get to that point. I think
Right.
with this pandemic, it's going to expedite that because we realize how much people need internet. Like, internet is the same thing as water and heat at this point. It's no longer cable. It's like you need it. Like
Right.
it's not it's a necessity. Like the world doesn't work without.
So that'll be
internet.
so crazy when they attach all of your video game needs right to the router. Like, you have an internet router, you can play Xbox games.
You have a smart TV. Smart TVs become much more popular. You can buy a Roku TV for $250. Guess what? Our apps on the Roku TVs. All you gotta do is just download the Xbox app. Bam, you are now Spotify. That's
Right.
all it is. It's Spotify for video games. Play as you please.
Oh,
Because
it's
that's the
looking
crazy
so
part.
cool. It's so dope.
The music industry was so ahead of the time of the streaming shit. All it's gonna be the same shit. Oh, come on. We're gonna sell albums to the day we die. What do you mean?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Guess what? When I can get someone to just pay $10 a month and listen to everything.
Right.
Now, games aren't going to do that because it costs so much more money to put out a game than it does a piece of, you know, an album, and they just cost more. But Game Pass can give you 60 games as their library, and then every other game is just additional, and you just purchase it on Xbox. It's going to be the same shit, man. And you know what? I thank God that they got their mouth kicked in for 5 years, that this expedited this process of them having to think, what do we do?
Word.
What, like, because if they won this generation, they could have very well easily been the same boat as PlayStation right now.
King's Throne.
We're gonna
chilling.
sell them a $500 unit, $400 unit. Got all these games, come play. Buy as you will. If you want to buy it, buy it. If not, whatever. But they were forced to because they're not just being consumer friendly just for the fun of it. Like, they're being consumer friendly because they think it's gonna be a good business model to continue with, and because their business models wasn't working. So now it's like, okay, well, we're gonna provide all this value. To me,
That shit is looking crazy.
to me, also, this $300 console means a lot. It's accessible. People to get into this new generation can now spend $300 instead of $400, $500. That's $100 means a lot to people. You know, some people for Christmas they can't spend that extra $100.
Some people also have 2 kids.
Correct.
Now they're damn near getting 2 for the price of 1.
Correct. Think of that. If you can pitch that to a family, hey, we know time. You know, COVID just is going on right now. You know, pandemic's hard. We can make your Christmas. Both your kids can have an Xbox for the price of 1, basically. Oh, and with that, you know what? Forget it. Get it on a monthly plan. Oh, and you don't have to buy them
Which is
any
so
video
crazy.
games because guess what? With that monthly plan, you get Game Pass. They get all these games. Like, bro, what do you do? What do you do?
Especially for Sony, what do you do?
Like, I almost feel bad because they're going to sell.
See, now this is where it's crazy. Where I think back to the YouTubers, where they don't think like I don't know if like maybe we're biased.
I'm
or
100% biased, but I'm also looking at it just how it is too.
Maybe that's what it is. They're not looking at it.
They're looking at how it is, not how it's going to be.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense.
We're the kings. Come on. We got
Right,
out of war.
right.
Okay.
One point, someone was like, "They run a little bit better. So what?"
Come on. Come on. Yeah, and Halo didn't look all that great at E3. Yeah, that's why they delayed it.
Right.
Guess what? A delayed game is eventually good. A rush game is never good. Come on, bro. Like, we know how this works. Like,
yeah, and the last point that I'll make on all this is that, like, this fucking gives Bethesda all the money in the world to make their games polished.
Well, yeah.
Like, like, in the Big Four, the next installment of all those games, they're not going to be trying to sell you loot boxes to make money on the back end. It's just going to be
guess what, too? You're now a part of the ecosystem that's consumer friendly.
Right. Now they're just going to give you a nice, polished piece of art. Whole game finished. No matter how long it takes, we got all the money for it. So,
well, that's the thing, though. Now you get into the business part. Bethesda didn't earn $7.5 billion. The owners of Bethesda did.
Right.
The original owners. Microsoft now owns that. So Bethesda's now like basically their own just developers. And they answer to Microsoft. So if Microsoft keeps the same energy they have been with 343, where they see that they're willing to delay games to make them good, where maybe Bethesda, to your point, had to rush out of Fallout 76 to keep their shareholders happy. No, we don't have to do that no more. Come on, bro. We're Microsoft. We don't got to rush nothing no more.
Word.
We're gonna give you a date. Please meet it. If it's not met, let us know. We'll roll out Fable. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
word.
And we haven't gotten to the geeky parts of talking about all the games they could make. Obsidian made Fallout 76, Fallout New Vegas. Obsidian is owned by Microsoft. Bethesda's owned by Microsoft.
Now they can clash together again.
Come on and create the greatest RPG.
And people are talking about Fallout New Vegas too, when they could just make their own whole new shit and just.
It's gonna be awesome.
No,
it's when you look at the list, man. I'll put it up right here when we're for the video. They own like 27 studios now. If you looked at that list 4 years ago, it was like 6. They own.
They've been moving, dog.
They've been moving. Working. Like, they've been working. And this was the accumulation of all
How many does Sony own?
I think like 4. That's a good question. Let me answer that real quick for you. Let me see.
Something that a Sony had said that while Microsoft is busy buying all of these companies, Sony is focusing their time and money and effort on building up the ones that they have.
Valid. 100%.
Valid point.
But there is such thing as brand equity. And when you acquire these studios that already operate on their own volition, and now you have 20 different studios instead of just 6, you can do more with just 20. It's just more. I own all Bethesda's IPs. Guess what? I can sell you dog shit in a paper bag and have Elder Scrolls 6 on it. It's going to sell.
Word.
Microsoft's not going to do that, but I'm just saying, like, that's the power that 7.5 billion. That's the power that Elder Scrolls held, is that they made it worth 7.5 billion. That's how much power Fallout still has, even though Fallout 76 bum rushed. You know, I never put that together. They put Fallout 76 on Game Pass recently. Like, that's on Game Pass. I never even realized that they're starting to gain a partnership with Bethesda a little bit there. Shit, man, they were trying to tell us this whole time. Fuck.
Back door.
Yeah, fuck. How many does Sony? Fuck. Hate when you start typing shit.
I'm sorry to all the Sony heads. I really am. I was a Sony head.
You know, I'm not sorry, because here's the thing.
I was born and raised on the Sony.
So it's not even a sorry, man, because, like I said, we'll find out what works. We could be 100% wrong. I just have been right for the past 4 years, so I feel like I'm still continuing to be right where shit's going. Now, this is still the build-up, so I guess it's easier to be right on the build-up than the actual execution.
And what happens in the Fallout.
Correct. But when you look at the changes they've made, they've addressed all the downfalls that everyone says they have Xbox. You have no games. Okay, now we own 22 studios. If all of them make one good game, we have 22 good games. Come on. Like, we have some studios that are going to make 4.
Right.
Like, Obsidian has 3 games coming out. They look fucking great. Outer Worlds, great game. Good game to have on your exclusivity. The new Avowed game coming out. Looks like the next best RPG coming out. Like, come on. Double Fine Studio, Psychonauts 2. One of those
And
cult
they're
classic
like,
games.
and Sony players, if you want it, sure, but we're getting a cut. Just so you remember. Just so you remember.
And it's going to be 70, not 60. Just remember that. Come on. And I think that's where the biggest thing comes in. I think that's why you spend 7.5. You either give the choice, player getting $70 and you take 30%, or come on over, spend 10 a month. Which one are you going to do? And you're not just spending 10 for this game. Because obviously that sounds stupid because $120 a year, what the fuck? Just spend 60. You're spending 10 and you're getting all those games apparently we don't have.
All of them.
I mean, if you look on Game Pass right now, man, you could be a legitimate gamer and play Game Pass. Like, you could be a content gamer and play nothing but Game Pass. You can play Gears
And that's
of War.
right now.
That's what I'm saying. That's before EA comes over. That's before Bethesda comes over.
Before
that's
the next
all the
console.
new shit comes out. That's before the new Fable comes out.
That's
before,
crazy shit.
It's a rough.
Oh, wow. It looks crazy, bro.
And we're going to see what wins. We're going to see, and that's what's going to be the most fun about this.
Oh, it looks so crazy.
That's going to be the most fun about this because you're going to see when that new Spider-Man comes out, you'll be like, all the Sony has like, yeah, we have this now. And then when Elder Scrolls comes out, it's like, guess what? All I had to do was hit download because they already took the $15 out of my account this week.
Right.
Like,
then we're going to look at the copies sold of Spider-Man, and then we're going to look at the copies sold of Elder Scrolls 6, and we're going to go, oh, shit, okay.
that's the thing, though, too. Look, just sold. They're getting 30% on all of them.
All of that
no matter
shit.
what it's on. Because guess what? Spider-Man cannot outsell Elder Scrolls. You know why? It's on one console.
Right.
Elder Scrolls on 3. PC, Xbox. Eventually it'll come out on Switch because Skyrim you can play on a freaking refrigerator right now.
Right.
Like it's just everywhere.
Oh, dog. I'm sorry, Sony. It's looking scary.
You know what though? I'm trying to think of it from their perspective. They do have a big lead. So the lead does have to come up. Like, let's say they sell 2-to-1 systems. That's still pretty big. And
Huge.
all their games. And still thing though too is that's a big installment base and they still do take a percentage of their marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So people are buying games on their marketplace. What I'm interested in, I want to see what the dip of maybe the lack of people playing Elder Scrolls on Sony. Because Skyrim felt like an Xbox exclusive, even though it wasn't, right? Because it fucked up on PlayStation
For launch.
for a long time, right? So not a lot of people felt like they
It
played it.
also wasn't able to be modded on PlayStation.
Right. So it was a big thing. We talk about it all the time, like games that aren't exclusives but feel like exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Splinter Cell felt like an exclusive to Xbox, even though it wasn't. Maybe that comes back now. With maybe Doom feels like an Xbox exclusive. Maybe Fallout, the community on Fallout is so much bigger on thing. And the only reason why I say I think they're going to still publish them on PlayStation 2, look at what they're doing with Minecraft. You know, they bought Mojang. They own Minecraft now. They're not. It's too big of a game to now say, yeah, no more on PlayStation. Sorry.
It's crazy how much they spent for that on one game.
But
yeah, they've
think
been
about
making
it though.
power moves, dog.
But think about it though. Like it's just another thing in their feather cap. Like we own Minecraft. Every Minecraft they sell now, they're getting 30%. Where does that go on the seesaw of who's winning or losing?
Right. Which is why when that's brought up as an argument from Sony heads, it's like, are you really going to argue that they're just buying everything? They're just buying up the market?
No, it's owning. It's ownership. It's
the value
splits.
that they're giving. That's what's buying up the market. Oh, dog, it looks crazy.
Imagine it. Imagine you're a a label, and you just keep buying masters. I bought JID's masters. I bought Reason's masters. I bought all these guys as masters. Oh, that's cool. You just keep spending. You just keep on spending. We're going to keep putting out all this music and getting our percentage. Bro, I own the masters. You don't understand. Like, any music he makes for the rest of time and overtime, I get that. Guess what? I break the bread up, not get the crumbs from it.
Right.
It's a lot different, man. It's a lot different.
They're playing a different game.
Playing a different game.
Oh, shit. That's so crazy.
It's going to be awesome to see. I can't wait to just be a little bit of a bystander.
Word.
Because I think I'm going to just chill on my PC. Which technically...
Which is what I'm trying to do anyway.
Xbox.
Right.
Gonna keep my PlayStation.
I'm sorry, Sony. It looks scary.
Because think about how awesome it's gonna be, man. When new Elder Scrolls comes out, and we can play for free on our PC, or your brand new PC. You don't have to buy a new game for it. You just get your Overwatch because you want to play your Overwatch. So you spend the $20 on that. Or $40 when Overwatch 2 comes out, whatever. I wonder if you have to own Overwatch 1 to get Overwatch 2. They haven't said that yet, have they?
Mm-mm.
I hope not.
They
don't.
Probably won't.
I don't think you will. Because it feels like more an expansion, not a... but whatever. You'll get that. You might get a couple Steam games. And then all those Xbox games you were going to buy anyway or play anyway, you just got to keep paying your $15 a month, $10 a month for the Game Pass. It's so brilliant.
Nah,
it's
they
so
bodied
consumer
it.
friendly. Think about how much better of a consumer you feel like that. Oh, $10, I get to play all these games.
All of them.
No, man.
Instead of having to buy every single one. Yeah, man. It's a wrap. Listen. I'm sorry, Sony. It's over for you.
We'll catch you later.
We'll catch you later. They're losing the console war, and they're losing Yay. Free Yay. Give that man his masters.
Yay.
It's a wrap.
Yay!
That's why they're trying to keep his masters.
Why?
Because they're about to lose all this bread.
Yeah.
With
Microsoft. Gotta
Yep.
keep the lights on somehow.
They gotta get their chicken from somewhere.
Bro, I've been streaming College Dropout. You better be keeping them shit, bro. Come on, yo. I've given them at least $11.99 the past 6 months
So
off that shit.
Kanye saw none of that. Beautiful.
So, how to wrap this up, do you see yourself even, like, thinking about getting a PlayStation 5?
No.
Because that's the thing, though, too, because as someone that plays PC, Microsoft has either purposely done or accidentally done, they have pushed me more to get a PlayStation 5 if I was going to purchase a console. Only reason because their library is going to be available on PC. Why would I purchase another console?
Right.
It's double dipping.
Now it's like the PC and the Xbox is integrated.
Correct.
So now it's like pick one.
Now, again,
where you could be like, now let me
get a PlayStation 5.
Right.
Now, we could also say this too. Remember we were talking about earlier. They lose $300 every time I buy an Xbox. So they'd rather me not even buy an Xbox.
Right. They'd rather you
so
pay
they're
for the
winning,
PC.
but it makes it feel like because I still have that little bit in the back of my mind, that stupid, corny console war, get all the consoles that you can in the back of my head. So it feels like I'm like betraying Microsoft by purchasing a PlayStation. But in reality, if I just get a PlayStation 5 and buy one game, I made them lose money.
Did you and your pops both get Xboxes?
Yeah.
And did he get a PlayStation?
No. I have not owned a PlayStation 2. Ever since Xbox One, the original Xbox has come out, bro, I've been
both
Xbox.
of you been like, fuck it.
Yeah. But, I do want to play the Star... They have a point. I do want to play the Spider-Man.
The facts.
I do want to play the Ghost of Tsushima's. I do want to... Cold War beta just came out. It's only on PlayStation. I want to play that. But I can't because I don't have I don't want to spend $560 to play Spider-Man.
Talk about value.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just... That's where it's eating... Like, I honestly had that thought. I'm like, if realistically, I really should pre-order just a PlayStation. I shouldn't get a... Now, I'll get a digital only, so really it's $460, so let me not cap here. But, I don't know. I don't know if they give me enough value for my $460. That's where it's coming to. If Sony had their own Game Pass, I'd be all over it. I'd 100% buy a $400 console and get the $10 a month. No problem.
But they don't have that.
But they just don't have that for me. So
even if they did, they wouldn't have the catalog.
For me to get the Spider-Man, to get the new God of War, it's a big nut. It's a big expenditure. And now I don't know if I can buy the old God of War one, like the most recent God of War. and play it on my PlayStation 5. I don't know. They've
Mm-hmm.
made it so murky in the waters that I don't know if I can play it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not getting one of those. Yeah, no thank you. I had my last PlayStation on the last one. I've told the story on here before. I bought it, took it home, set it up, and then was disgusted like by the interface, by the controller. I was like, what are they doing? Took it right back to the
That's
store,
funny as hell.
switched over to Xbox.
That's funny as hell.
Never looked back.
I respect that.
But I don't think they'll catch me even on another Xbox. For real.
You think it's
I'm
PC?
retired.
On,
Yeah,
as
I'm
next?
with the future.
And you know what though? That's the thing though too, where the integration of PCs becoming much more prevalent in gaming now. You know, with streaming and streaming video games, so actually playing the games and streaming them, content creation, affordability. PC is the wave. PC is where you want to maximize your gaming potential. You play PC.
Because now you're getting all the Xbox games on there anyway.
Corner of the market. Come on over.
It's looking crazy. It's looking wild.
I think they figured out a way to get the loophole around losing $300. Realistically, they don't lose nothing by you purchasing a PC. They just all profit.
Oh, it's crazy. Nah, Microsoft.
Shouts out.
Yeah, shouts
Billy.
out. Shouts out
Phil
Microsoft.
Spencer. That's my. I was so proud seeing him on CNBC. I'm like, let's go, Phil. So we were doing my bike this morning. I was watching his interview. I'm like,
That's one for the gamers.
Yeah, let's go, Phil. You look hard as hell. I fuck with you with your whole little. But
Keeping it diplomatic.
That's the logo on his little zip up, 3/4 zip has Bethesda. I was like, let's fucking go. Love that shit.
You know when dude's got the 3/4 zip? They're in the office all day.
Yeah. I can't wait to rock 3/4 zips. I have the fit for the 3/4 zip right now. Not gonna lie.
Facts. You just need
When
the
I'm
Philly
outside for my
esports.
Philly esports sit again, I'm wearing the 3/4. The 3/4 zip. Come on.
Facts.
Or is it just a quarter zip? Because 3/4 zip would be like all the way down here. Yeah, it's just a quarter zip. Quarter zips are hard. Quarter zips and crew necks. Fuck hoodies. I'm out. I'm out the game of hoodies.
Nah,
I don't
I'm
need a
fucking with
hood now.
hoodies.
I don't need a hood no more.
What if they flipped it and threw the quarter zip on the hoodie?
Is that one of those like breakaways where you can take off the hood? Like my winter hoods, my winter jackets.
That
with
shit
the
was
break
popping back in the day.
The
You'd
winter
be like,
jackets. Yep. And you just fold them shit down. Bang. I'm out.
That shit was
I'm
tough.
making moves. I'm more aerodynamic now.
Facts. That's funny. Shout out
But
to
bro, you ever
Bethesda.
try to lay down with a bunch, like one of those hoods that are like real bunchy? Like that's a nice hood. It's not too flaily. It's nice and thin. When you got a hoodie that has the thick ass hood, and you try to lay down, that shit feels.
See,
like,
bro, this is where you got the game fucked up. Hoodies are a clocking. This was a rough hood. But I've had this hoodie since like 2012.
Bro, come on! I haven't bought a hoodie in 6 years. All the hoodies I have are from fucking high school and all that.
Right,
So
right.
They all break in, but it's still, bro.
That
it still
first-
feels,
right.
If I'm sitting back, it's like, damn, what? I got like a tinge in my back.
I feel that. I'm a hood up type of guy, even in the crib.
The
I got
crew
it
necks,
up.
bro. I don't know. The crew necks make me feel
That's
like
your shit.
official. I get my little coffee. I feel like
Move your head a
I'm
little
like,
bit more.
Like, ooh, feel cozy. I do miss like no pouch. I want a crew
Word.
neck with a pouch. I could freak that.
Crew neck with the pouch.
I could freak that.
Ed, hit our DMs. We're about to collab. Come with this Jody merch. That's going to be crazy. Crew necks with the pockets.
No, fuck it. Get not CJ. What's the dude from Rowan?
DJ.
DJ, get his. Oh,
Word.
just imagine the shit with the little gray.
Facts.
Ooh.
Nah, his shit would look hard with the
That's
little
my
pocket.
guy. He got me back on the Shia shit because he posted the Shia shit on his Instagram, and I was like, I
so
miss
that made
my
you go
dude.
to-
I
yeah,
miss my dude.
facts. Shout out to Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf, too. Who called him Shia LaBeouf?
LaBeouf.
Who said that? Somebody
I don't
said
know.
that.
I watched
Who'd
his
have said
freestyle on Sway.
Oh.
He kinda killed that.
Murdered.
He kinda killed
Murdered.
that.
Sway was geeking it.
No,
though.
they said put them sunnies on Sway. He said, no, he said, I didn't think I was going to have to do this today. I'm not going to lie, but
That's
put
so
them
funny.
sunnies on. He was going. Shy was like, no way. No, I really fuck with Shy. I need to see the new Honey Boy because that
Word.
looks like one of those like magnum opuses where it like explains your life so crazy.
There was another movie that they did too where he was the producer, not like an actor in it. I don't know what it was called, but I know he's been working.
Well, that movie he did, The Honey Boy. He wrote it, produced it, and directed it.
Which is insane.
Because he wrote it,
And it's
while
an indie film.
He wrote it when he was in rehab, It's about his pops.
That's hard.
And he wrote it, and when he came out, he's like, all right, let's get to work.
Yeah, I need to see it. I need to watch it.
It's, yeah.
It's exclusive.